I got to admit to being a an unusually huge Elvis fan when I was a kid. When I was 13 years old, it's all I was listening to, and I was watching Elvis movies. And we've got a real interesting story we want to share with you right now. Jamie Aaron Kelley is in the building, and he has in a previous lifetime, you were part of a musical, Elvis story, and you got a chance to spend a little time, playing the king.
Yeah.
You were born in Iowa. You raised in Iowa as well?
Yep, I still live there, as a matter of fact.
You still live in Iowa.
Mm-hmm.
I've never met anyone from Iowa. This is very exciting for me. Because you would know where Ottumwa, Iowa is.
Yeah.
And, it's where Radar O'Reilly is from Mash.
Oh, that's right.
Remember, he was from Ottumwa. I always remember that Ottumwa, Iowa. It was Iowa, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Ottumwa. Yeah. There's a train station there. So.
That's all there is. Where in Iowa were you born?
That was a little more of the southern part of Iowa, but I'm actually Boone, Iowa, which sounds even weirder. Yeah, it's down in the boondocks. No,
right.
But no, Boone is actually right, pretty much in the center of the state. A lot of people know where Ames or Des Moines is. Ames is a big college town, and Des Moines the capital.
Yeah.
We're about 45 minutes northwest of Des Moines.
Okay.
So pretty central.
Okay. So you're born and you're growing up in Boone, Iowa, and you decide singing is your thing.
Yeah. Actually,
from a young age.
Yeah, this is actually 25 years of singing for me.
Okay.
I'm 28. I started when I was...
That's what I was going to say, 25 years of singing. What is that? That gives you what, you were 1 when you started or something?
Yeah, it's funny. The first time I was ever on stage was kind of my folks just thought it would be just a little joke thing. And I was 11 months old at the time.
Wow.
But after that, they couldn't keep me off stage.
That's it.
And so when I was about 3, just before I turned 3, I was actually able to sing, to carry a tune. And so my dad said, well, do you want to sing? I said, yeah. And so that kind of kicked it all off.
Okay.
Me. And we did all different types of stuff,
Yep.
He actually, he was a big Elvis fan too, which is why I got Aaron as my middle name.
Right.
And
which was Elvis's middle name, for people who don't know.
Yeah. And so it was just one of those things. It's, I love the music. I actually learned to sing by listening to Elvis records and things. I couldn't listen to it enough. So it was one of the things that really influenced my own style as I got more and more into doing my own stuff and reinterpreting songs as opposed to just doing somebody's cover, somebody else's version of a song. It still, we get a lot of people say, it sounds like Elvis, and it's not really, what you heard, I think that what you were playing was from the Live in Japan show.
Okay.
We did that over in 2006.
Right.
It was the first time I'd ever been to Tokyo, and we've been a few times since. And it's funny. A lot of people say, "Gosh, it sounds like," but it's really not an intentional thing. It's just
it's the way you sound.
Yep.
Yeah, and over years of developing, and I got to just say this about Elvis, and then we'll move on, because what we're talking about is a new show which you're going to take to Japan again, but we get a shot at it here actually in Toronto. It's going to make its world premiere this Saturday, and that's what we want to talk about. But I got to say this about a week Saturday. You're right.
Yeah.
I got to say this about Elvis. I was, and I mentioned I was a huge fan, and I watched all the movies, and I can't sing for a damn, and I wish I could, but I can't. But I was a huge fan of Elvis's, and we were on a family vacation in Washington D.C. the day Elvis died.
Oh my gosh.
I know, and I'm saying we're from this area, so we're like a long way from Memphis, but Washington's a little closer. Yeah. And I'm begging. I'm 13. I'm begging my dad. I'm going, Dad, you got to drive me. I got to go to Memphis, man. Elvis died, and my dad he had nothing. He was like, what? I don't care that Elvis died. I liked his music. He was okay. I'm going, he was okay. He was Elvis. Anyway, I never got to go.
Oh my
but
gosh.
Just the same, I had this black T-shirt with an Elvis silhouette on it, and I happened to have it with me because I was such a big fan, and I started wearing it around. People were coming up to me in Washington D.C. outside that big pointy building they got there, the Washington Monument, and they're coming up to me going, "Where'd you get the shirt? Where can I buy the shirt?" I mean, people wanted to pay their respects to. It was a huge moment in time, and getting a chance to to play Elvis, getting a chance, and even being compared, having people say that about your singing, even if they say it sounds like or whatever, you go,
it's a huge compliment.
It's absolutely huge.
Nobody has lasted. Nobody in history has lasted like that.
But you as a 28-year-old man is a testament to his lasting, because ultimately you mostly grew up without Elvis.
Yeah. I was born in '80. I missed the whole boat by 3 years.
That's it.
Actually, something kind of funny. Our friend Fernette, who's here with us, she saw Elvis 10 times in concert, and she went to the funeral. If you hear about the stories about there were 3 girls that was hit by the car that drove through the crowd.
Right.
She was talking to one of the girls. They went across the street. There were people that used to think that there were 4, and she was the one she was the other one that they thought was, but she had left just before it happened. And Well,
in our next half hour, we're going to have Fernette on. You've got quite a story to tell.
Oh, she does. She knew Charlie Hodge. She spent time at Graceland. All that. We're all huge. My iPod has everything Elvis you could imagine.
All there.
Oh, yeah. Everything Elvis and everything Dean Martin. I'm a huge
Dean Martin fan.
Huge. Of course, Elvis was a big Dean Martin fan, and that's what actually, it's funny. For the longest time, I listened to pretty much just Elvis, and then I just started branching out, and I just started listening. So I started with the things that influenced Elvis, and I found that mostly those styles and those genres were what appealed to me as well.
Yeah.
And so I just started drawing and from all those different kinds of things, old country. I love those older styles, and I like taking that older stuff and giving it just a little, like a fresh coat of paint, just giving it, making it, of course, new technology makes it cleaner, but giving a little more bass drum.
That's because that's the thing that's always missing for those of us who grew up later. It's some of the production elements.
Yeah.
And when you hear, they've taken a couple of Elvis songs and done remixes on them, and Rubberneckin' was one of them, and a Little Less Conversation. And I go, oh, they're so cool when they had those new elements of the production behind them, but still with that voice out there.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, that is cool, because that's the one thing I miss. They sound a bit hollow when you listen to those old songs.
Exactly. Well, especially since, with technology getting better and better, you know, and when you go back to that's one of the biggest reasons why youth have a hard time listening to old. They think, oh, it's old. Well, it's not really that it's old. It's just that they don't hear the thump that they hear when they go to the club.
That's
and when they listen to it in the car, that's why there's a big, huge throbbing bass thing going on in the back. But
that's right.
That just sounded dirty. But anyway,
that's okay.
But when you take the older styles, when people hear it live, gosh, that's good stuff. On my new CD that doesn't come out until the day before the show.
Right.
We did a song that was written by Mel Tillis that Webb Pierce did called Honky Tonk Song, and it was a hit back in like the early '50s, not early '50s, '57, and we couldn't stop listening to this song. It was so catchy, but it was one of those things where some other people were like, well, it just sounds kind of old. I was like, wait. Just wait.
Yeah.
They heard our version and they went nuts.
It was cool.
And it was just one of those things where that's what, it's such a shame to see people look at the older musics like that, because there's so much there. That's so much of substance. And it's nice being able to be a part of kind of revitalizing that.
Bringing some of that back, and that's what you can do with a live show. Is good, you can go in the studio, you can record a CD, but you can do some cool stuff with a live show. Bring that music to life, and that is the show. It is called The Heart and Soul of Rock and Roll. We're talking with Jamie Aaron Kelley. You're with Hamilton's all-new talk station, Talk 820, and when we come back, that's what we're going to concentrate our forces on. It debuts a week Saturday. Its world debut is going to be at the John Bassett Theatre in Toronto. You can still get tickets, and we're going to talk a little bit about the show and the performance that Jamie Aaron Kelley puts on in the heart of rock, the heart and soul of rock and roll. You're with Neighbors and Friends. Hamilton's all-new talk station, Talk 820.